Wildlife, and especially endangered species in Ontario, have been neglected in many ways over the years, but they are arguably facing one of their biggest threats in decades thanks to Doug Ford's Bill 5. This bill was fast-tracked and kept very under wraps. Most people didn't even know about it until it was already passed. I mean, some people still don't even know about it. I didn't know about it until about a week before it was passed. I planned to make a video about it when I first heard about it so that we could get, more action going, get people signing petitions, but then school and animal training got in the way and I didn't have time. I also did not expect it to be passed within a week of me finding out about it. But the fast tracking and lack of media coverage surrounding this bill really left people with no time to protest or write letters or anything. And now because of that, this province and its biodiversity are being put at great risk, arguably on a scale that we have never seen. In this province anyways. I normally don't like to talk about politics or the government on my YouTube channel or on any of my social media accounts because it's not what my purpose online is, and I also most of the time don't really feel like I'm educated enough in it to talk about it, and I'm here to help animals. I'm not here to talk about politics. In general, I don't like to talk about it on my accounts, but this surpasses any desire for me to not talk about politics because I don't think that this should be a political matter, and even if it is, I don't care. This isn't political to the wildlife, so we gotta talk about it. So what is Bill 5? Bill 5 is the Protect Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act, which has been proposed as a way to protect our province from Donald Trump's tariffs. And who knows? Maybe it will. I don't know. I'm not a politician. I'm not an economist. I don't know anything about that. But this bill will also completely gut environmental protections. The justification for this bill is to make major infrastructure and resource extraction projects happen faster by reducing delays and eliminating duplication in the approval process. Bill 5 repeals the Endangered Species Act, which has been vital for protecting our endangered species in Ontario for years. The Endangered Species Act legally requires species at risk and their habitats to be protected. Bill 5 replaces the Endangered Species Act with the Species Conservation Act, which I'm going to be honest, is a complete joke. This act will essentially guarantee the decline and potential extinction of several native species at risk. This act gives the cabinet the power to decide which species deserve protection and which ones don't. Not a scientist, not an environmentalist, not a wildlife biologist or conservationist, politicians who arguably know nothing about environmental science or wildlife conservation. Those are the people that are being given the power to determine whether or not a species deserves to be protected. This new law redefines what an animal's habitat is to mean only their nest or den and the immediate area surrounding it. And in some cases, only when said nest or den is currently occupied. So for example, a fox's habitat is, the forest and the surrounding grasslands, and somewhere in there they're going to have a den where they sleep. But under this new law, that forest, those grasslands, those are no longer considered part of the fox's habitat, and so there is no longer protection for them. The only thing that is considered this fox's habitat is the den that it sleeps in. And the cabinet also reserves the right to further narrow this definition however they want to. The aim of this is to give control over the land and what happens to it to the cabinet. If they can control the land and no longer have to consider wildlife in the process, then they can give the land to whoever they want. They can let developers build whatever they want, and they can let mining companies extract whatever resources they want, no matter how potentially damaging it could be to the environment. Up until the passing of this bill, when a project threatened a species or their habitat, developers had to apply for permits, which were reviewed by environmental experts to determine if the project would cause harm. But under Bill 5, this process of approval has been replaced by an online registration form. Once a company clicks submit, they are free to start building. This can include the running out and potential killing of species and destroying the few remaining protected spaces that we have. This also leaves no real path to accommodate the constitutional rights of Indigenous peoples when it comes to protecting endangered species and land development. It does not respect the right to free, prior, and informed consent. Indigenous people have to be included in discussions of the use of natural spaces and protecting endangered species. So this is not only a matter of destroying our environment and killing our wildlife, but it is also taking away rights from people who we have, as a country, already taken rights away from for so long. Potentially one of the most terrifying parts of this bill is that it allows the cabinet to create these special economic zones. These are essentially law-free zones where municipal and provincial laws don't apply. This gives corporations the ability to do whatever they want without oversight. They can bulldoze forests, destroy wetlands, and extract every resource from the land until there is nothing left. This will mean certain death for so many native species. This is an attack on our province's biodiversity and on First Nations rights. Currently in Ontario, there are approximately 270 plant and animal species that are considered at risk. Many of them are classified as endangered, and under this bill, they are all at risk. Boreal caribou, the Jefferson salamander, the Kirtland's warbler, eastern wolves, golden eagles, wolverines, Blanding's turtles. These are just a few of the amazing species that call Ontario home and are now being threatened by this complete dumpster fire of economic legislature. They will all be threatened by these special economic zones, and some of them already are from projects that are in the works like Highway 413. Our wildlife already struggles so much due to urban expansion, littering, and a complete lack of conscientiousness on the part of the government and the general public. We don't need weaker environmental protections, we need stronger ones. Many people are trying to figure out what to do now that this bill has been passed, how they can help, how we can potentially change it. I don't know. I don't have any great ideas. I don't have any real great ideas on how we can help the situation or the wildlife in question, but the Toronto Zoo does. Before the bill was passed, the CEO of Toronto Zoo spoke out saying that the Unleashing Our Economy Act would strike a blow to the recovery of several species the institution has been trying to save. He also urged the province to increase funding so that they can increase their biobank with Ontario species that could die off as a result of this bill, stating if the government decides to move forward as written, we have one ask: establish an insurance policy for these species and their well-being. This government needs to commit to funding to create an Ontario Wildlife Biobank at your Toronto Zoo. Our reproductive science team can play a critical role working with partners across all walks of life to ensure we have a backup plan for future generations. The Toronto Zoo Biobank is careful long-term storage of reproductive and biological material from species at risk that they use to produce offspring and then increase the population. This biobank has allowed the Toronto Zoo to do incredible work, including what they have done with the Blanding's turtle. They have an ongoing program for the Blanding's turtle, and with the help of Parks Canada, they have been able to release more than 700 individuals into the Rouge National Park. That is such an incredible conservation effort. If the government won't repeal this bill to protect our wildlife, then I think the least that they can do is take some of that money they're going to be making and give it to help fund the Toronto Zoo's biobank so that the Toronto Zoo can help save the species that they won't. This whole situation is completely mind-boggling to me, and obviously I am not a politician or an economist, so I'm not going to pretend to understand the potential economic benefits of this bill. But honestly, I don't think it matters. I don't think it's worth the cost. Not only do these plants and animals have the right to live freely, safely, and peacefully, but harming their habitat and the environment will also harm us in the long run. When did being human become synonymous with destroying absolutely everything in our path? What happened to compassion, respect, and a love for all of the other living things that we share the planet with? It's their planet too, and we don't have the right to take it from them. If our own government won't protect them, how are we possibly supposed to? When we start placing ourselves above everything and everyone else, thinking that we deserve more, we deserve better, and damn the consequences, we start down a slippery slope that there might not be a way to come back from. Eventually, our environment will reach the point of no return. It will eventually get to a state where it cannot recover, at least until we're gone. Please share this video with as many people as possible, particularly people that live in Ontario, or as an alternative, maybe share one of the resources or news articles that I have linked below. We need as many people to know about this as possible because I'm still talking to people like in my life who don't even know that this is happening, and the more people that are aware, the more of an impact that we can make. I don't really have a great solution as to like what you can do to help.
Okay guys, editing cat here. So after I finished filming, I did find something that we can do. I found 2 petitions, one from the World Wildlife Fund and one from Greenpeace Canada. Both of these organizations, along with a few others, also have pre-written letters that you can send with your information attached to them. So it would be your name, your address, your email, phone number, but the letter is written for you, so you don't have to write one yourself. These letters are then sent to members of the provincial government so that we can show them that we do not want and do not support Bill C-5. You can also donate to these organizations to help fund their conservation efforts. I'll have the links to these petitions and organizations in the video description so you can easily find them. If you are Canadian, especially if you live in Ontario, please sign at least one of these petitions, and if you can, send a letter. This is what we can do to help. This is how we can make a difference.
Maybe I can't really make much of a difference. Maybe making this video is all I can do. Maybe sharing the information is all that I can do. But I couldn't really just sit back and do nothing, because I have seen firsthand, living in Ontario, the green spaces that we have lost due to urban expansion. We actually had a big movement of, protecting our green belt in the past few years, and it seemed to work up until this point. I've seen firsthand the land that we have lost, and we really cannot afford to lose any more. If I learn anything new or I find any new resources, I will of course update you all. So if you're interested, keep an eye on my community tab. That's where I would post any updates. If you have any more information about this bill or any ideas of how we can help, please let me know in the comments. Please share it with all of us so that we can try to do something. We really can't let Doug Ford get away with this. I mean, I know that the bill has already been passed, but we have to try to do something, because the damage that this bill will do to the environment if it's not stopped could be irreparable.